everyone, this is Trisha and welcome to my channel. Today I'd like to show you how I created this beautiful tabletop angel. Alright, so let me start telling you what these supplies are going to be that I'm going to be using for my project. Of course, you can switch them around to the size and colors that fit your decor. I have here a paper mache cone. This is an 18-inch tall cone. If you don't find this paper mache cone, you can use styrofoam or create a cone with some poster board. Here I have a 3.5-inch diameter paper mache ornament ball. Again, you can use a styrofoam ball if you prefer. I have chosen to use two different colors of 2.5-inch wide wired ribbon. Of course, you can just use one color if that is all you want to use. I have these two here, and I make sure that I have plenty of ribbon. At the end of the video, we'll know exactly how much we actually used. I'm also going to be using a scrap of garland, as you can see here. I'm also going to be using some greenery and some floral. Here I have leftover bits that I've had from other projects, so I'm going to use all of my little leftover bits, including these little berries. And then I also have these little kind of eucalyptus little stems that I found at Hobby Lobby. I got 3 little picks, but I don't know if I'm going to use the whole thing, so just grab whatever you have. I also have these from the Dollar Tree. So as you can see, it's just a variety of items, and you just choose whatever you like. Alright, so here I have some deco mesh that I want to use for the wings. I also have this burlap here, so that gives you an idea of different materials that you can use for the wings. I think I'm going to use a combination of both. Now for my angel's hair, I could use some doll hair or any kind of yarn that I want. I have this really beautiful, thick, kind of luxurious looking yarn, and I'm going to go ahead and just use this for her hair. And here I have an assortment of acrylic paints. I have some white, sort of a skin tone, some black, brown, and some pink. This is so that I can do the face, so just choose your paint colors according to what you want to use. Alright, and here I have an assortment of items that I can use to decorate my angel. For one, I have here these wired garland ties. These I got from the Dollar Tree. You don't have to use these. These are completely optional, but they make a great little wreath if you want to use that for your angel, or if you want to do her halo with this. I also have this mesh tube. This was from the fall collection, also from the Dollar Tree. Anything like this if you want to use for decorating your angel. I found this little pretty little garland kind of material from the miniature tree items at Hobby Lobby. It was $1.99, but I got it at half off for only $1, so it was a great deal. And I feel like this would be great to use on her halo. I also have these little mini wreaths, little grapevine wreaths. I can use this also as an alternative as a halo, or maybe even just as a little wreath to put in her hands. And by the way, these little mini wreaths, I found them at Hobby Lobby in a pack of 6. And here I have a 9-foot berry garland. I got this from the Dollar Tree. I may use this in my project as well. I also have some little tiny little pine cones here. This is a huge bag that I got from Hobby Lobby some time ago. I've got some twine here just in case I might need it. And I'm going to need some chenille stems. So here I have an assortment of them. I may want to use a silver one, or maybe the white one, or this tone here for my angel, for her halo, and I'm going to need them for her arms. And you can see here that I also have a charger plate. I got this from Hobby Lobby. It was only $1.99. You can find some at the Dollar Tree as well. And I'm going to put my whole centerpiece right on top of that. You don't need that. This is just completely optional. And any little decorations that you might find around the house are completely optional if you want to use that. And as usual, to put all my project together, I'm going to use my hot glue gun, and I'm going to make sure that I have plenty of hot glue sticks. I'm also going to be using some brushes for my acrylic paints. I want to make sure that I also have a fine one to do the little details on the face. You could also opt to use a Sharpie marker to do the face details. And I will be using my wire cutters and scissors to do my project. Those have been my supplies and my tools, so let's get to crafting. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is paint my 2 paper mache items. I'm going to paint the cone with a white acrylic paint, and I'm going to paint what is going to be my head with this skin toned paint. You can use whatever tones you want. It's what I happen to have. Now, in further investigation or looking at this ball, I'm going to need for this ball to go into my cone. And so for I needed to make a hole in the bottom. Now it had a little tiny little hole here where I pulled off the little string that was on here, but I discovered that this isn't all paper mache. It's actually a plastic inside there. So I tested it out with my glue gun because it's nice and hot, and it actually melted a much larger hole into it. So now I'm able to actually insert the tip of my cone into it like that. I think I want it a little bit bigger, so I'm going to continue working with it a little bit with my glue gun to try and get that a little bit bigger so that I can go a little bit further into my cone here. So let's try that. Alright, so I have been using the heat from the tip of my glue gun, and it's actually worked pretty good. I actually got the hole a little bit bigger, so now I know that it's going to go further in. So that works really well. Of course, if you're using styrofoam, it's going to be super easy to melt a hole into the styrofoam with your glue gun. So there we go. So let's go ahead and get to painting. I've got a nice big brush here. I'm going to start off with my cone and just paint the whole thing white. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about the very tip of it because that's going to go into the head, and we're probably not even going to see that anyway. So I just painted it as best as I could. I'm not even going to give it a second coat. I'm going to let that dry. And I'm going to take my skin toned paint, pour a little bit out. And I feel like it's a little too light. I might need more than that. There we go. And I'm going to add a little bit of this. This is a light cinnamon. Okay, so I'm going to use a brush here to put it through the hole to kind of help me hold it while I paint it. Would rather one that fits a little tighter. Let's try this little glue stick. Yeah, that works pretty good. Okay, we're going to go ahead and now paint it, and I'm just going to kind of mix the paints around as I go along because obviously I didn't mix them up too well. Now I'm not going to worry about covering up like completely. I just want to make sure that I do cover where the front of her face would be. And we're going to let this dry, and then we'll come back and do the face on the head. Okay, so I'm going to paint her face, and I'm going to keep it super simple. I'm just going to do some little like half moon eyes going like this, and then just a little mouth the same way. So I'm not going to go too detailed on it. And let's see, this is where the neck is. So I want to make sure that this little space here is her face. The first thing I'm going to just draw, and I'm going to use a pencil, is to do a little mouth like that. As you can see, just a normal, regular, smiley face. And then I'm going to do, like I said, the little half moons, but, you know, going downward like so. Or half circles. Just like that. So now I'm just going to paint that. I'm going to use a little bit of pink. And I wanted to use as little as I can. And, of course, I'm going to do this before I paint any of the other face or the rest of the parts of the face with my black paint. Because if I mess up, I can always paint the skin color over it, and then I don't have to worry about any of the black. Okay, so I'm going to use, I got a sponge here, and I kind of wet it a little bit. I'm actually going to cut a smaller piece out of that and just take a little bit of pink paint here. Kind of clean it off as much as I can off the sponge here. And right where the ends of her little mouth is, I'm going to do her little cheekies. And then I can just kind of rub it around with my finger like that. You could actually use, you know, your makeup, your blush powder to do this. Just give her some pink little cheeks just like that. Okay, now I'm just going to use the black paint. Just pour a little bit on my paper here. And I've already wet the tip of my brush. And then just carefully follow my pencil line. And I can see here that her smiley face is not perfect, so I'm just going to try and fix that. You could do her little lips in pink or red if you prefer. And then her two eyes. And if you like, you can do some lashes on them. I'm not going to do too many details, just to keep her as simple as I can. Just like that, okay? So it's up to you if you want to do more detail, or if you want to use some little googly eyes, or maybe even some rub-ons or stickers. If you find, you know, little faces that you can stick on, use that instead. Okay, we're going to let that dry and go to the next step. All right, so while everything is drying, I'm going to take my garland and I'm going to fluff it up, I'm going to want to know how much I'm going to need to lay around my plate. And you don't need the plate, like I said. You could just do it on your table and just put the garland around the angel when you set it down, or glue it to the angel if you want. But I am going to just make this as a separate item, basically like a little wreath that's laying on here, and then the angel will be sitting in the middle. Okay, or she'd be standing in the middle actually. So I'm just fluffing up my garland here, and then I'm going to measure how much I need to go around here on the plate. And I do want it to be obviously bigger than the bottom part of my angel's, what this is, would be her dress, because I'm going to be putting some ribbon on here, so I need space for that. So obviously I want my garland to fit a little bigger around that. So that is what I'm going to do. Just going to fluff it up, and then I will trim it to size. Okay, so I'm almost finished fluffing up this one piece that I had left over of this garland. Now I'll let you know that this garland that I have here is not a very, very good quality. It's great for cutting up into small pieces to use it in small arrangements, but it sheds a lot. I got this particular garland from Walmart. It was a 9-foot garland for about $2.87. It was under $3, so I thought it was a perfect price for these projects that I'm doing for my videos. So anyway, I'm just going to cut this so it's just a little bit bigger. Now I could cut it twice and make this really full, so that is up to you. I'm not going to bother. I think it's fine. I'm going to cut it right about right here. And then I have a leftover piece. Again, this is just pieces that are left over from a 9-foot garland. So I don't want you to think I'm using 9 feet here. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but just in case. Okay, so now I'm going to take the ends and then just kind of twist them together, so that locks them in place. And I know that fits really well on here. Okay, so when I get to decorating this a little bit more, I'll round it up a little bit more, and of course I'm going to also fluff it up so that all my little pine branches are either going upward or going out and not going in towards the body of the angel. Okay, so that's all I want. I want to create a garland around the angel like that. All right, so now I've taken my ribbon and I'm cutting 8-inch long pieces. I'm cutting from this ribbon first, and I want to cut enough so that I can put this in the front of her dress. And then I'm going to be using this plaid one on the sides and on the back to create my loops. That'll be like her coat, and I'm also going to be using it for the arms. It'll be the sleeves of her coat. Okay, I don't know exactly how many of these I'm going to need or how many of this I'm going to need, so I'm going to cut and create as I go along. So I've got this first piece here, and it's going to be really simple. We're just going to put some glue and get them to glue together. So if you want to make several, if you're using the same ribbon for everything and you want to start off, just make several of these. Kind of guesstimate how many you're going to need. At the end, I'm going to tell you how much I actually cut for my dress here. But for now, this is the way I'm going to be doing it. So just glue some first together. Okay, so I forgot that I had these little silicone tips for my fingers that I can actually use to press down. I got these from the Dollar Tree, guys. $1, grapevine. Okay, and I got them from the little craft section. Okay, so we're going to start at any point. I think I like, let's see, it doesn't really matter. It looks pretty the same the way I painted it. I'm going to go ahead and just pick this side as my front, and I'm going to take my ribbon, one of my loops here of ribbon that I've created, and I'm just going to, poof it up just a little bit. And then I want it to fit right about here. And the reason that I'm doing that is if I decide that I don't want to put it inside of the plate with a garland, the dress will be all the way down to the bottom, so then I can use this angel maybe as a tree topper if I want. So make sure that you get this, just fluff it up a little bit and just make sure that it lays perfectly, and that's where you're going to glue it. Okay, so I've done one, and I think I want to do 3 at the bottom. If you want to, you could gather them like that and then glue them some more so they stay like that. I'm just going to lay them on top just as they are. Just overlap. I'm overlapping almost halfway over the next one. Maybe some there as well. Okay, and then on the other side I want to do the same. overlapping it some. So I want that center one to be encased behind these two on the sides. Okay, so that is what we want to start. And now I'm going to do two, and these I'm going to put them so that they're overlapping between these two. Again, I'm going to poof it up just a little bit so that then I'll know where to glue it. And these, I won't matter which one overlaps which. Okay, so that is what we want, and now I'm going to work my way to one, and then repeat, and then I think I'm going to do two more and go all the way up to here, and then I shall be back with that finished product. Alright, so this is what I've done so far, and I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces of ribbon here. They're 8-inch long pieces. So now I'm going to go ahead and start cutting the red so that I can start building this way and this way so that I can make sure these are overlapping and then these are overlapping. And I'm going to do the same thing, cut 8-inch pieces of those. And once I'm done putting some on there, I'll start off some so that you can see what I'm doing, and then I'll let you know how many I had to use of this contrasting fabric for her coat. Or ribbon, actually. Alright, so I've gone ahead and started off with 6 of these with the contrasting fabric that I'm going to do, or this is a ribbon, I keep saying fabric, that I'm going to do her coat. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start again at the bottom, poofing it up, and halfway, almost, overlapping this one, start putting this one, and I'm going to work my way around. I'm not going to, do one row up. I'm going to do the first row on the bottom and then follow upward. Okay, so I'm going to add this one, overlapping it just a bit here, or almost halfway. And then I'm going to follow up. This is why I want this ribbon to have wire, because you can poof it up really nice. Okay, so now I'm going to do the other side over here so that I can meet somewhere in the back. Okay, so the last one. So I did 6 on this row. So then I'm going to do 5 for the second row, 4 for the third, 3, 2, maybe 2 again, or maybe 3, 2, and 2. We'll see. But that is the way that I'm going to do it. So that's why I said to go ahead and do these as you go along. So I know that I'm probably going to use 5 in this one. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare 5, and then another 4, and then 3. So I'm actually going to do 12 more loops and start putting them on here. And then we'll see how many I actually needed to finish all the way up to the top. And I do want to end up with some of them overlapping this very top one here. And we're not going to worry about this top part. Some of this is going to go into the head of the angel, and then this other part here will be the neck. So we'll decorate that. So let me go ahead and get these going, and I'll be back once I've added them here. But just follow the same idea, okay? Okay, so this is what I've done. I was doing the first row and I did 6, and I said I was going to do 5 in the second row. I'm actually doing 6 on the second row as well. So here I am at the third row where I would have been doing 4. I'm doing 5 now, okay? I felt like it needed to be a little bit fuller, so that's why I went ahead and I repeated 6 on here as well. Now the other thing that I'm also paying attention to is that my ribbon does have a pattern to it, and it's got this silver and yellow lines going on this side, so I'm making sure that I keep them always going in the same direction. I almost put this one facing the other way, so I just turned it over and glued the other side. But anyway, just make sure you got your pattern going. Let me just check it just to make sure I did do that. Yes. Okay, we're going to keep going. I'm going to put 1 here, and then I'm going to put a 4th one here, build 3 more and 2 more, and then I'll be finishing up that. But look how this is looking, you guys. It looks so pretty. If you want to use this idea and maybe use all the same solid color ribbon, instead of doing an angel, you could do a Christmas tree. So there you go. Maybe do a green. Okay, so there I am. I ended up putting 2 at the very top here. Let me add a little more glue here. I had the little fan on, so that would help me with the drying here, but I had to turn it off because it makes a lot of noise. But anyway, if you do hear it anytime during the video, it's because, of course, I'm hot. All right, so that's what I've done so far. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to count how many loops I have all together. They're all each 8 inches long. So then I can tell you about approximately how many yards of a ribbon I used for, you know, one color and then for the other. Or if you want to do it all one color, then of course you add the 2 amounts. And I will put them in the description box below the video so that you can see. All right, since I went ahead and I measured and I did all my approximations of how much ribbon you're going to need, I went ahead and I measured my garland. And if I fold it in half, it's about 15 inches. So altogether, it's about 30 inches round. So anywhere from 30 to 36 inches, which is about 3 feet of garland. That's what you're going to need. For our ribbon, if you're going to do it like I am doing, so we do a dress and then a coat contrast. And I also want to keep in mind that I also needed an extra 12 inches for the sleeve. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows here. So if you do the way that I'm doing it with an 18-inch cone, for the dress here, we need 9 loops, which are 8 inches long. So altogether, that was about 2 yards, okay? And for the coat ribbon, I needed 26-inch pieces of this 8 inches long, and then of course the 12 inches. So altogether, I need about 6.5 yards. But if you want to do this all in one solid color, like I said, maybe make a tree instead. You can leave this part out. You'll need 8, and if you want to do an angel, 8.5 yards. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I will have that all in the description box below. So we'll just stop real quick just to let you know that. Let's go on to the next step. Okay, so I was doing a little bit of a test here to see how this would end up being. This is going to be a 12-inch piece of chenille stem. If you would just want to use floral wire, you can use that. I decided to use chenille stems because I do want to make some little hands, or at least some sort of a shape that will be mimicking a hand at the end of the what would be the arm. So I'm going to get another chenille stem that is the skin tone, or if you want to just use white, use white. I'm going to cut it in half, one of them. And I'm going to take, and then just take the ends, a very short bit of it, not even half an inch, twist it together. So now that I have that, I'm going to coil it around, kind of like around itself to get it into a bigger bit here, a little piece, kind of like that, okay? And since it's wire, it'll shape really well. What you can do is you can get a little bit of glue, put it in there just to make sure that, now it's not the most attractive little idea, but you know, it works. So we're going to add that at the end here. So now I want to do the other side. So again, take the 2 little ends and just twist a tiny little bit, and then just bring that up, the short one. And then just start coiling around. Like that. And then add some glue so it doesn't move on you. And then we have the 2 little hands at the end. Alright, so now I'm going to take this 12-inch piece and I'm going to put this on here. Now I can see here, because I did steal some of the end from the arms, that it's a little too long. So I'm going to move this over so that the fabric is right on the edge and the little hand is sticking out. So I want to cut this side the same. There we go, just like that. And then I'm going to fold one side over and then the other side to overlap. I want the seam to be in the middle where I glued it, rather than, you know, just in half like that. Okay, so I want to put this right in the middle, making sure my little hands are sticking out, and I want the pretty side down. So that's how I'm going to fix that. Add a little bit of glue on one side of the chenille stem. Fold this over. Forgot I had these. Keep burning myself. I folded it over a little too much. Let's just fix that. Okay, now I can fold over the other edge. It's best to do a little bit at a time rather than doing the whole length. That way you know that you fold it right. Okay, so there we go. And we want this nice side to be on the outside of our arms. So we're going to do this. And you can add a little bit of glue to the ends here of your ribbon so it doesn't fray. Mine's doing a lot of fraying, so I'm just going to trim that off. There we go. That's what I want that to look like. And I'm going to take this and glue the back right here on our angel. So I want to make sure I get the center. So let's fold this in half. Mark the center right there. And then the center in the back, right about right here. Put plenty of glue. Okay, the arms are not going to wrap all the way up to the front, just to the sides here, okay? So don't put glue all the way. I almost did put glue. So just about right here where the shoulders would be. See that? Okay, that's where you want it. Now we're going to let that dry, and we'll go over to the next step. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the idea to do the hair, and I've actually looked at different ways of doing it. I thought doing little strands and giving her long hair, and I thought about folding them in half and then gluing them on like about the side part here, and then gluing them on and giving her long hair, and then doing some even longer ones starting up further on her head where the part would be, making these longer for this side and then just filling it in as I go. But I thought, you know what, I don't really want her to have long hair floating all over the place. I just want her to have some hair. So I'm going to start at the back here on the bottom little area there. This yarn is really nice, but it's also coming unraveled. So I'm just going to get those little ends, make sure they're glued down together. Get my little silicone thing here. Ah, making a mess there. Okay, I pulled on it. Okay, that's okay. We're going to hide all of that. Okay, so as I go around, I'm going to come around the front of her face like that to meet up with this. And then I'm going to keep gluing it as I go around all the way till I end up at the very back here. And then I can just do a little tiny little bunch there and then glue it down and cut it off. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so let me go ahead and just start it up, and then you can see when I'm finishing it. So I'll come back. So start it up right here, put some glue to her hairline. I think I want it a little more forward. Let's go a little more glue down this way. Is it going to come off? Yeah. Okay. A little more forward. There we go. Okay. And I'll just make sure that when I come around here, I can cover that up or just trim off my little mess. Okay. So let me come back around, get some glue to glue all that down, come up right next to it, over all of these little messes that I made there. See, we can fix that. We make messes and mistakes, but we can fix it. Okay, but it's best to put a little bit of glue at a time rather than putting a whole long line all the way around, because, you know, it's less of a mistake this way. So just keep doing that. I'm going to keep rolling around like I said. Okay, I'm already coming at the end, so I'm just trimming it a little bit shorter. I wasn't sure how much I needed, so I cut off quite a bit. Okay, so now this, I'm going to fold it inward, put that glue in there, and just kind of poke it in. A little more glue right here. And then just push it in. It's kind of tricky doing it with this particular yarn that I did. It's very fluffy. Oh, it's so nice, but you know, it kind of wanted to, you know, do little fuzzies all over the place, and my glue gun tip kept lifting up some bits. So that's what I did. You can use some twine instead, but there's her hair. Now, if you want her to have brown hair, red hair, whatever, just choose a yarn to fit the color that you would prefer. But I think she looks really pretty with her white hair. She looks very angelic. It almost looks like a little knitted cap on her. But there we go. Oh, you know what? This could be a little baby's head. Oh, well, there you go. You got another idea right there. Okay, so let's go to the next step. All right, so now I want to put the head on my angel, and I went ahead and I melted a little bit more so that I can get the head to fall further down, because I felt like I was having such a big piece here. Now, if you want to make your hole even bigger, then you can keep melting it with your glue gun to get it big enough. But this is where I have it, and I'm okay with it because I'm actually going to add a collar to her. So it's going to take up all this space right here. And if I wanted, I could move the arms up a little bit more, but I'm okay with that. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and add some glue here where it's actually going to touch and glue to the head. Okay, push it in as much as I can. Make sure she's facing forward. There we go. She looks like a little granny, but there we go. She looks so cute. I think she looks like a Mrs. Santa too. So my goodness, here's another idea. We don't have to put any wings on her and make her a Mrs. Santa. Okay, I want to do a collar around her neck, and I was already doing a little bit of testing, and I thought I would cut about 18 inches, but I want to cut 2 pieces at 18 inches, and I'm going to do the same thing to both. Now, it's important to use a wire edged ribbon for this. So I'm going to take the wire on one of the ends and start pulling. Okay, first let's do the opposite end. Pull just a little bit of the wire because you don't want to accidentally pull it all through. I think I may have done that when I was doing the testing. Okay, there we go. There's that little wire. And what you want to do is you want to bend it downward like that so it doesn't get pulled. Or you can just pull on both sides. But I'm going to do one side here. I'm going to be pulling it and gathering it as I go. So just do this very carefully, so that you don't pull this one out, like I said. Okay, so what you could do, like I said, you could get this other end and also pull on that and gather. You could grab them both, make sure they don't slip, and then just gather till you get a nice little ruffle. And this is kind of a thick ribbon. It's almost like burlap, so it's a little hard getting it to gather, but I'm going to do it. Okay, so there we go. I want about 18 inches to create that collar, and I'm going to do 2 of them. I feel like I want 2 of these, and these are going to go around the neck like so. So I'm going to pull on it a little bit more so it's nice and fitting on there, and I'm going to put it close to the arms here. So here, where I know that it's about the right size, and I take the 2 wires and just wire them together, twist them together, and just pull them nice and tight before you do that. Okay, so before I trim that off, I'm going to turn her around this way, put some glue there so that that ruffle will stick, and we'll do it on the back as well. And make sure where they connect here, the 2 ends, that's at the back. Okay, so now that you've got that glued down and you're okay with that, just snip off the wire at the back. Okay, I'm going to give her another ruffle to kind of, hide the huge neck that she has. Okay, so once I have it gathered, just like the other one, I'm going to do the same thing. Put it on her, pull it as tight as I can. I'm not going to go right up against the other one, okay? I'm going to go a little bit higher and glue it down there. So actually I'm going to just pull on it a little bit. I'm going to glue down the front part first. This time I didn't, wire the 2. I didn't twist the 2 wires because I still might want to pull on them. Okay. So I'm gluing that. Actually, maybe the top ribbon, instead of cutting 18 inches, maybe just cut like 16. That looks pretty. I really like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish it off. Twist the wires now that I know that it's right where I need it. And then I'm going to finish gluing it on, and I'm going to come back for the next step. Okay, so now I'm going to do her wings, and that's going to be very simple to do. We're just going to do like a bow, and I'm going to use both of these. Again, you can use whatever color you want. If you just like the deco mesh in white for her wings, then just use that. I'm using this one because I also want to incorporate this color. I want to give it more of a country, like a farmhouse kind of look, but I do want my angel to be a very traditional color, Christmas, so that's why she's in red, and the tan color here. So this particular one is very nice. I could use this by itself, make some really nice wings. The reason that I'm going to go ahead and add this kind of like sparkly kind of white, it's got a little bit of silver kind of iridescent sparkle, is because this red ribbon does have a white with a silver on there, and of course she's got her white hair, so I think it's all going to coordinate together. And then I've also got this, which is going to be on her halo, which is white, and it has a little bit of iridescence to it. So I think everything's going to tie in. Okay, so I'm going to take about 24 inches of this. So I've got 18 here, and then another 6, just to be sure. So I'll get 24 inches of both. Let's see, I'm going to bring these both to the center and then overlap them. Just making sure they're nice together like that. This is about the center, a little bit less here. And you're going to want to make, you know, like a little bow out of this, like so. And you're going to want to hold it behind your angel and just make sure that, you know, that's big enough to make the wings. And I feel like that is big enough. So now I'm going to take a chenille stem, and I have a white one here, and I'm going to put it around my bow and tie it up. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to glue it at the back of my angel. I'm going to make sure that I use this part here to put the glue here where I twisted it all up. Now I could put a little ornament or something there too to hide that. A little bit of garland will hide it. That'll make it look okay. Okay, now keep in mind that when you're doing this, you're going to be squishing all your little loops here that you did with your ribbon. That's okay. You can fix it all up again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right here, right under this collar, but on top of this one. So I'm going to glue this one down a little bit here in the back. Okay, and then I want to put glue on top of that. And then I can tuck this in right there. And I'm just going to hold it. Sorry, that was my glue gun that fell on the floor. I'm just going to hold this till it dries, and then we'll be back for the next step. Alright, so now I'm going to do her halo. And I mentioned that you could use this little grapevine wreath as a halo. That's a pretty good idea. This little chenille stem that I had left over, I could just glue it, just twist it around it like so, and then glue it down, and then this could be glued to the head, and this could be kind of hovering over it, kind of dangling. But I felt like maybe that was just a little too much. She might look a little more like Jesus with this or you could paint it white. Okay, so we're going to use a chenille stem, and I have a 12-inch piece of chenille stem, a pipe cleaner here, and I'm going to go about, let's see, about 2.5 inches up, bend it right here, and then form a circle and give it about an inch or so right there. Form a circle. That's about the same size as this. And then I can just twist this end around this part here, and then just, you know, round it out as best as you can, and then you would have a little halo that you could just glue to the back of her head, and she would have this on there. But before I do that, actually, I'm going to bend it right there. I'm going to have my little 1 inch or so, 3/4 inch of that in the end left out. And I'm going to take this garland here. I'm going to take the end and glue it right there. And then I'm just going to start twisting it around. And I don't have to completely cover the chenille stem because the chenille stem is nice and white. Or maybe you want to use a silver one, and that would look pretty. I don't know why I still have this on my hand. Okay, so now we can just wrap this around and wrap it up as tight or as loose as you want. Just like that. I'm going to continue doing that till I get to this end, and I don't have to be gluing it over here as I go. Okay, now I'm getting to the end here. I can trim that off, glue that little end down. Okay, so now I can bring that over and get that chenille end tied around this first one. There we go. Bend it downward. Make this as round as, you know, the best as you can. And there we have a little halo for the angel. And I'm going to put this on at the end, but I wanted you to see how I did that right now. So now, the next step. All right, so I've put my angel back on my plate here, and that's going to be easy to move her around this way with the garland around the outside. Now again, you don't have to do this part with the garland. You can just create your angel and then just decorate her however you want. I'm also going around my pine here, and I've fluffed it all up, but now I'm like curving the ends And I do that because it actually makes it look a little bit fuller, and also makes it look a little smaller because I don't quite want everything to kind of, you know, just be sticking out of it. All right, so I've already prepared some of my greenery and my little flowers that I've cut up into smaller clusters, and I have them off to the side. First, I'm going to put some loops of this mesh tube that I have here, or if you want to use a thin ribbon, you can do that. So I'm just going to fold it like I would, you know, just a regular bow, just like that, and then just cut, and then a little piece of chenille. You don't even need that much of a length. Twist that. Now we can take that, the chenille ends, and twist it around in here if we want. We just tie them down, or we could hot glue them in. So I'm going to take the ends that I just did right now, I'm going to undo it, and then just tie it around the wreath. And I think I'm going to do 4 of them so that I can do a couple on the side, and then just move the little branches around to kind of hide the chenille stem that you put in there. Okay, so I'm going to do 1 on each side, and then 1 in the front and 1 in the back, so that I have it all the way around. Okay, so I'll be back once I've done all these little loops. All right, so now I'm going to take all these little greenery bits from the holly bush, add a little bit of glue to them, and then just kind of slide them in and start filling in. I'm going to trim as I go as well. Just start filling in different areas. I've got these beautiful white branches here. Okay, one last piece over here. Okay, I'm also making sure that when I am putting the pieces in, that they're not touching the ribbon of my angel, so that it doesn't, you know, the little stems here don't get glued to any of the ribbon that's down here, in case I want to remove it from this here, from the wreath. And then, like I said, she can be used as a tree topper because she is hollow. She's a cone there, so there we go. That's what I have so far. Keep adding some little flowers. So I'm going to add those. Look how pretty. I think I should have sprayed this with some snow, but that's okay. I already have the angel in there and I don't want to remove her. Okay, so there we go. That looks really pretty. I did have these extra little eucalyptus. I had bought 3 of them, but I think I'm only going to use 1, or just some of one of them. And then I had 2 branches of this one, and I'm only using 1. So as you can see, I'm just using very little, some leftover bits, and then a little bush and a pick here. And I do have these berries as well. So I also, you know, I could cut these off individually actually, and then just glue them on here and there. But I'm going to go ahead and put them in little clusters. So let's do that. All right, so my husband had actually picked out the stem that had these little berries on there. I thought they looked like little pomegranates, but I didn't know what they were. My husband actually looked it up because he actually wanted me to buy this stem, and he said they're hawthorn berries. So there we go. That's what they are. At least that's what he says. Haha. Okay, so just put however many you want in there. And I think that's good enough. Now I'm going to take the little mini wreath and this little garland that I had gotten from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to just wrap some of this around the little grapevine. So I'm just going to cut to about right here. I don't think I need that much. Okay, so I'm just going to loosely wrap it for now. Get it on there like that. Oh, I think I cut just enough. There we go. Just wrap it around there. And what I want to do is I want to hang this from her hands. So remember, I make these little hands and they're not very attractive, but that's going to get covered by my little wreath and all the little decor. So I'm going to look for a little spot here that doesn't look too pretty. I'm going to push these little berries to the front so that this can be the back. I think I'm going to glue it from there. So I'm going to put plenty of glue on one of those spots and then put right on her little hand. And then I'll do another spot over here and then do the other little hand. So she's holding it like that. Let me go ahead and do this as quick as I can because it's about to fall off. Okay. I've decided that I wanted to put some around her hair here, so I'm taking a little strand of this, wrapping it around, and then just wiring it back here because it is on wire, so just twisting the ends together and back. Just giving her a little garland around her head, just to add some color up there. And I'm actually going to take some of these eucalyptus, and let me cut these little leaves off. They don't want to slide upward. So I'm going to cut this short, and then I'm going to glue these little leaves behind these other ones to make it look fuller. I think 3 of them is good, just like that. I think that looks good. Okay. Now I'm going to glue this on her head, kind of on the side, and I kind of like it off to this side here. So underneath the little garland, little leaves like that. It looks so pretty. Okay, sorry about the sound when every time I slide her around. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and add this other little leaf that'll hide a lot of the little stem bits that I can see there. There we go, make it look pretty. There we go, just like that. Let me move my light on her. There we go. So that you can see that a little bit better. Okay, all right, so now on our little wreath, I had said I was going to put some of this, but I already put this down here, so I'm not going to use that. Instead, I'm going to use some twine. So I'm going to get a nice long piece here, and I'm going to wrap it around my fingers quite a bit, and then just bring that together. And I'm going to get some more long bits. I'm going to put 3 of them and tie that around so to create a bow. Let's bring those ends out. There we go. And have those hanging freely like that. And then I'll trim them once I know how long they should be. So I'm going to hot glue that to the wreath that she's holding. Okay, so now I can trim these off. I'm trying not to pull on it because it's not quite dry. Okay, let's get all these little ends out of the way. That's what the little wreath is looking like. And I still have some of these eucalyptus, so I'm going to go ahead and tuck them in the bottom here just to add some little bit of lightness. I think I was going to put some on here, but I decided that, you know, I'm just going to put it down here just to lighten things up down here. Okay, so I had 5 of these and I ended up using 4, so in different spots here. So I'm going to use this other piece here and do the same thing like I did on her hair. Trim these off, and then this little bit, and hot glue this onto her wreath. And I'm going to go behind her bow because I already put that on there, and then just tuck those little leaves in there. See, like that. And then I'll add the other 2 little leaves as well. So let me turn it around so I can see her. Okay. And then I've also got these little tiny little mini pine cones. I had shown you these garland ties, and I said they were completely optional. A lot of the stuff that I showed you obviously was optional, what you wanted to use to decorate. If I didn't use the grapevine wreath, I could do a little wreath with this if I wanted something bigger. So I could just take one of these and shape it around to be a little wreath. That could actually even go on her head as her halo. Okay, but I don't need to use that, so I'm just wanted to clarify that I did mention that at the beginning, but I'm not going to use that. So now I'm going to take some little mini pine cones and then just glue them on different spots, maybe one in her hair, maybe some in the wreath. Just glue them in different spots. But before I do, I'm going to go ahead and glue on her halo. So on this little bit that's coming down, that 2.5 piece that I told you to leave, that's going to get glued to the back of her head. Okay, I'll be back. I'm just going to put a bunch of these little pine cones all over. You can just use your imagination to what else you want to put on it. I could spray it with some snow, but I really don't want to get the snow on the ribbon. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And I'm just going to poof up her beautiful coat and dress. And I'll be back. All right, everyone. I have completed my tabletop angel. I think she looks absolutely beautiful. So there we go. This is what she looks like all the way around. And like I said, you can do this angel without having to put her with the wreath or on the charger that I used. You can put her on a tray instead of a charger, and I think she looks absolutely wonderful even if she's by herself. And because I used the cone, she could actually be used as a tree topper. So there you go, you have another choice. Now I was also mentioning along that you could create a little baby with a face idea, the hair idea, like a little cap on its head, or even use this as a Mrs. Claus and not put any angel wings. So that is all up to you what you want to do with this idea. I hope that you are inspired. So I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up, and I hope that you too will give me a big old thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you haven't done so, please hit it now and subscribe to my channel, and make sure you also hit the notification bell so that you get notified of my videos, which I put up twice a week. And of course this November I've been doing 2 craft videos per week. They've all been Christmas ideas. And leave a nice comment down below. My camera's about to run out of battery, so I'm rushing through this. I want to thank everybody for your past kind comments, and please follow Trisha's Creations on Facebook, and you can leave your ideas on there as well as post your pictures. So everyone, share your social medias. Be nice, be kind, spread the love, and as always, enjoy.